Well, that's what you love to see. Whatever it takes for the Cleveland Cavaliers as they were victorious again tonight against the Toronto Raptors, 128-110 to take a 2-0 lead in the best-of-7 series. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to WKYC's Facebook Live. I'm Dave DeNatale. Great to have you with us. Start firing your questions or your comments in as the Cavaliers win decisively tonight at the Air Canada Centre, 128-110. They now lead that series 2-0 with games 3 and 4 set to come back here to Quicken Loans Arena. Game 3 will be on Saturday, and so many things, so many positives really to take out of tonight's victory for the Cavs. It was another tremendous LeBron James performance. He had 43 points in 41 minutes. He also dished out 14 assists and pulled down 8 rebounds. But the story of the night really for me was Kevin Love, a guy who throughout the entire course of the postseason really hadn't even come close to scoring 20 points. He had 31 points and 11 rebounds tonight for the Cavs. Just absolutely made play after play after play. He was 7 of 7 from the free throw line. And he and LeBron James, I thought, put on a two-man game clinic all evening long. Just the give and the go, pick and rolls, knowing where each other is going to be going, getting the spacing exactly right. And you add all that up with those two playing at a high all-star level. And for the Cavs, you get 3 other players in double figures. J.R. Smith had 15. Jeff Green off the bench had 14 points. And also George Hill had 13. You get those 5 players, and we've talked about this 100 times, and we'll keep talking about it as these playoffs continue. When the Cavaliers get that kind of balanced scoring, when they get 5 guys in double figures, they're very hard to beat. When LeBron James scores over 35 points or so, again, they're very hard to beat. But this was Kevin Love, and you see the picture there. I mean, he was aggressive, took it to the basket tonight. Maybe a lot of it is his health. I don't know. I mean, maybe this is the healthiest he has felt since the playoffs began. I don't know, but it's as confident and as comfortable as we've seen him really since the regular season. And I tweeted at one point as the game was going by in the first half, and Love had a good half. I'm like, if the Cavs do nothing else tonight, getting the old Kevin Love back is huge. Well, they did that and a lot more. The other thing that I thought was big for the Cavs tonight, when you kind of look at all this, they were down at the half 63-61. Toronto had kind of had a bit of an edge. They were almost up by around double digits midway through that second quarter, and the Cavs were able to kind of get closer and make it only a 2-point game. So we go to halftime, and it's 63-61. Well, you know what happens after that. Everybody sits there and goes, boy, the Cavs, they're terrible in the second half. They're terrible in the third quarter. Not second half per se, but third quarter. Terrible in the third quarter. Can't make adjustments at halftime. The Cavs outscored the Raptors 37-24 in the third quarter. I just sit there and shrug my shoulders. I can't explain it, but that was a Cavs team that came out in the third quarter, completely took Toronto's crowd out of the game, completely took the life out of the Raptors now. And as you sit and you really think about it, if you're Toronto, you're down now 0-2. You've lost both of these games at home. You're the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. And you're facing now the very real possibility of elimination 3 years in a row by the Cavs. And remember, the Cavs swept Toronto out of the series last year. And all of a sudden now the Cavs, every advantage has moved to their way as you think about things tonight. A couple of stat notes, and then we'll start to get to some of your questions here. The Cavaliers shooting tonight was a blistering 59.5% from the field. They were 50 of 84. And even from threes, 11 of 26 shooting from beyond three-point line. I'm always a big believer with this with the Cavs. When they start throwing up 40, 45 three-point shots in a game, that's bad news. 11 of 26, you can live with that. Jeff Green hit 4 threes off the bench tonight, which is huge for the Cavs. Kevin Love had 2, and so did J.R. Smith. The Cavs, another thing, they only committed a grand total of 3 turnovers in the ball game. They were very, very aggressive, but they took care of the basketball. They forced 11 Toronto turnovers, rebounds, and remember, with Toronto, you got to deal with the Valanciunas factor. The rebounds really were right about even, 35-34, so +1 for Toronto. But you look at them, DeRozan had 24, Lowry had 21, Valanciunas had 16. I mean, that's their core, and the Cavs still beat them by 18 points. I mean, you have a lot of reason, I think, to feel good. Let's see, what do we got here? Mike Camino says, it appears the demise of the Cleveland Cavaliers has been greatly exaggerated. You know what? There are a lot of us who were very concerned about the way this team looked in that Indiana series. And you think about that Game 4 against the Pacers, how close the Cavs came to being down 3-1 after Game 4. And Indiana gave them the opening, and the Cavaliers really haven't looked back since. And, you know, you're right, though, Mike. I mean, this is a Cavs team that now starts to, you sit there and you go, yeah, this is the best team in the Eastern Conference, and there's really no dispute about it. Todd says, Toronto, being a #1 seed is nice for what? Yeah, it's kind of like Boston last year. Remember that so much was made about the Celtics, who, of course, didn't have Kyrie Irving at that point or Hayward or anything else, but, you know, they had edged the Cavs for the best record in the East, and they had home court advantage for the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Cavs went out and just basically steamrolled them, and it didn't matter who had home court advantage. This series is kind of feeling like that. It really doesn't matter who has home court. The Cavs went up to Air Canada Center, and by the way, Toronto is a very good home team, 34-7 at the Air Canada Center in the regular season, and the Cavaliers have steamrolled them twice. Once in a close game, once in a steamroll, to be fair. Yeah, Johnny and Tim say 3 turnovers. That's excellent. Yeah, that's tremendous. I mean, the Cavs haven't been a turnover machine team, but they had been a little careless with the ball in some cases. Not so much tonight. They really did a good job balancing the offense. I mean, you're seeing some of the pictures that Herb is kind of showing. I mean, just James and Love. Everything went around those 2 guys tonight. They were able to almost drive to the basket at will, set screens for each other, and set up shooters on the outside, and it really was a great combination. So for the Cavs now, this is every advantage you would want, they've got. Game 3 will be back here in Cleveland on Saturday. It'll be an 8:30 tip-off down at Quicken Loans Arena. And at that point, Cavs get that one, you're up 3-0, and you really can put this one to bed. And then Game 4 will be Monday night back at the Q. That's also an 8:30 start time. So if you were not a fan of the 6 o'clock tip-off tonight, and I know I can speak for myself, I was not a fan of the early tip-off time. You'll be happy to know it's going to be a little bit more like a normal start time when we get to Saturday and the Cavaliers taking on those Toronto Raptors. So, okay, coming up, let me tell you what we've got. Go to WKYC.com right now. Matt Florjancic's game story, his recap is up. He took a blog throughout the game and had a chance to kind of see the game through his eyes and what he was noticing out there. So you can check that out. A couple of great stories also in our sports section that Ben Axelrod has posted. I'm sure there'll be more coming up after the game as well. That's when you get a game like this, it's exactly what you love. Eddie says it was actually seeing every player strong together as a team and not one player hogging the ball. Once again, we shock sports media. I mean, look, Eddie, I picked the Cavs to win this series. I picked the Cavs to win tonight. But shocking. So I don't know if you talk about me. I think maybe you talk about the national media. But yeah, I think the fact that everybody was already starting to think that the Cavaliers, this was going to be Toronto's time. This was going to be, somebody else's time to knock the Cavs out of the East. Well, the way they played tonight would certainly not lend itself to that thought. The Cavs right now look indeed like the best team in the East and certainly a force to be reckoned with. So we'll have highlights of the game coming up for you on Channel 3 News at 11. A whole host of news stories for you as well tonight. So make sure you join us for that. And again, more coverage of tonight's win at WKYC.com. Whatever it takes, whatever it takes for the Cavs. Dominant performances, and that's what we saw tonight. 128-110 the final. Cavs lead the Raptors 2-0 in the best-of-7 series. Folks, thanks for watching. I'm Dave DeNatale. Have a great night.